Attention! The following message is based purely on opinion. If you have a disagreement, criticism, or complaint you would like to share, please place them in the comment box so that you may be ignored by the proper authorities. Thank you, and have a nice day. Next, we have Octuplet crystals. This is another huge high number of servants that require this one. There are 74 servants that require this material, and the most you would need, though, is still at 72. I'm definitely going to put this into the... who do I choose? Just because it's such a common, early game mat that so many servants need. It's just kind of ridiculous, and they still pump out servants that require this. I don't know why. This is immediately the bane of my existence. If I was not ranking these in order, but if I had to rank this in order, I'm immediately putting Hero Proofs as my most hated material in the entire game. I don't care how many lotto events you give me that give this. I don't care how many raids. I'm always running out of this. And here's why. Hero Proofs, there are 73 servants in the whole game that need this material. Now, 73 isn't the highest amount that we've seen on this list compared to things like Hearts, but there also are a ton of them that need the highest material, which is 216, or not a ton. On average, it was actually the 188. 216, I think, was only for 1 or 2 servants. But the problem is, for some reason, this is one of the most common materials, not only for skill leveling, but also Ascensions. And Ascensions will take out like 30 or 40 of these a pop, a servant. I don't know what they're thinking with this Hero Proof, but I despise this thing. I know it's not the same for everyone. Again, some people will farm the lottos more than I have when it's available, and they'll be set for these for the year. But for me, I feel like I'm never available to farm those lottos, and I'm just always running out of these. Next up, we have Feathers. Feathers, this shook me to my core. This is the one that surprised me the most. There are 102 servants in the game that require this material. 102. What is FGO thinking? Why are there materials that there are only 20 of, and then you have this that need 102? I don't care if it's an early game material. Stop making every servant use it. Not only that, this is going to be at 70 maximum that you're going to need for any one specific servant. So it's not terrible in that regard, but the sheer amount of servants that require it is immediately going to be going into the who do I choose. Just because I feel like every other servant I try to level will need Feathers. Next up, I'm going into Primordial lanugos. There are only 37 servants that require this material, and again, it's going to be that gold at 45. This, same thing as all these other gold mats, easy breezy. I'm sitting on spares for days. I'm sure a lot of you are as well. They don't get used. Only 37 servants need them in the whole game. That's including JP in the future. Next, we have Serpent Jewels. Serpent Jewels, there are 52 servants that require this material, and the maximum you would need is 60. I'm going to put this in easy breezy. This is a silver material that I feel like I'm sitting on tons of. Not that many servants require this anymore. I feel like a lot of the servants that do require this are simply as Ascension materials, not even skill mats. Very easy, ton of spare for me. Next up, Spirit Roots, easy breezy. Simple as that. Spirit Root, there are 43 servants that require this material in the game, and the maximum amount you would need is 55. I feel like there's only 1 or 2 servants I've ever actually used that 55 max on, and other than that, it's just sitting. There's nothing that really needs this, and I'm sure a lot of you also have a ton of spare of this. Next up, we have Poisoned Needles. There are only 21 servants that require this material at the game, but it's one of those bronze high ones that goes to 177. I'm going to say immediately this is a who do I choose one. It's not so bad just because the sheer amount of servants that require it are on the lower end. I'm not going to put it in I hate this, but it's definitely every servant that I do want to level that requires this needs so many that it's definitely going to bankrupt me, and I can only do them one at a time until I can farm them again more from either a lotto event or a raid. So definitely going to do into the who do I choose. Next up, we have Claws of Chaos, another really early game mat that a ton of servants need. This is at 70 servants that require this material, and the maximum amount you would need is 53, which I just feel like is a very odd number. I feel like it was 1 servant that needed, the 45 for skill and then the remainder for Ascension. But There are a ton of servants that need this, so I'm just because of how many servants that need this, I'm gonna put it at not bad, but it's also definitely not easy. It's not easy because there's so many servants, but because there are so many events that give it out, it's definitely not going to be anything harder than that. Next up, we have the Tearstone of Blood. Tearstone, there are 52 servants that require this material, which shocked me because I feel like I've used this for about 3. And the maximum number you would need is 55. I'm going to say this is easy breezy. Again, gold mat, commonality. They don't require these materials. I don't know what, FGO is thinking. I would say Delight works, but now going to you, Lasengel, I'm looking at you. Why make the gold mats usable? They're just sitting there. I don't know what you want us to do with them, or let us sell them for QP or lores or something. Anyway, moving on. Bones. We're talking about bones here. I know so many of you out there are gonna immediately put this in. I hate this mat, and I'm going to agree with you. I hate this mat. I swear to God, it's the worst thing ever. Every single servant needs this. There are 75 servants in the game that require bones, and the highest number you would need is 216, which is unfortunately quite a common thing. Tons of 4-star servants, 5-star servants. Every single type of servant needs bones. Ascension material galore. It's like proofs. In fact, I'm going to put this next to proof. These are the 2 absolute worst materials in the game, aside from the last one we'll get to. Because next we're going to get to dust. Dust, this is the number 1 leader out of every material for the amount of servants that need it. 103 servants in the game require void dust, narrowly beating out the which one? The feathers. Yeah, feathers needed. There were 102. Void dust. There are 103 servants that require this. Absolutely ridiculous. But the better thing is this is a very common drop. I feel like everyone has these, and you only need 144 at most. So it's not like the other bronze mats that are sitting at 216. So I'm actually gonna. Some people may disagree with me, but personally for me, I feel like I've never run into an issue with these. So I'm gonna actually put this at not bad, just because for a bronze material, it is very common that we're getting them. 144 being the most you would ever need for a specific servant is very good for a bronze mat. And I feel like, again, early game, we've been constantly getting this. It drops from every shadow servant. It's pretty much available in almost every single node that we play in this game. So definitely going to be keeping it not bad. Because of the sheer amount of servants, it's not easy breezy, but I'm always sitting on spares. And next, we have the Young Horns. There are only 32 servants that need this material in the game, and the maximum amount you would need is 45. Again, gold mat commonality, easy breezy, sitting on a ton of them. They're not being used. And next, we have the Seeds of Yggdrasil. However you say it, I apologize. There are 67 servants in the game that require this, and the most amount you would need is 90. Definitely not the best material, but also not the worst. So I'm going to put this right in the middle as I have a few spares. I'm definitely sitting on some spares now, but those can definitely go out the window at any given point in time. And then last but not least, because I'm not doing the JP ones yet, Crystallized Lore. Everyone loves to hate this. It's going right to the top. I'm going to put it behind Proofs and Bones. You know what? I'll put this as number 1, actually. I lied. I'm putting this as number 1. Crystallized Lore. Every single servant in the game needs it. Every single servant will require 3, and you are very limited to how often you can get this. For those of us, like myself, that care about skill leveling to the max and want as many servants at 10, 10, 10 as possible, this is always awful. I'm always going to be out of it. Even when I have spare, I'm either saving them for specific servants that I want a 10, 10, 10 day 1. Like for me, Canis is coming out. I'm just keeping aside 3. But everyone loves to hate these. You can get this from the rare mana prism shop for 5 rare mana prisms just for 1. It's terrible material, but also super satisfying to use. Not to mention QP. I'm going to say the worst material out of everything in the entire game is QP. That would be at its own tier. Anyway, thank you so much for staying tuned for all of that. This is my final tier list on all the skill mats and where do I place them. Again, please put in the comments below what do you think about these final 7 and where you think they would go. From what I've heard, I know a lot of these materials, like this one, came out for Lost Belt 6, and then almost everyone immediately needed it. So I think this one is also probably going to go into the I hate, but I don't have an opinion on those yet. So please put in the comment below what you think about these. And tune in next time for whatever tier list we go to next. Have a great day.